everyone, welcome back to History Ignited, the podcast where we explore the stories behind Billy Joel's song, "We Didn't Start the Fire." I'm Andrew.
And I'm Caroline. Today we will be talking about Joe McCarthy. He was a U.S. Senator who became famous for his anti-communist activities in the 1950s.
And hi, I'm Dave. Joe McCarthy is known for leading a campaign against alleged communists in the U.S. government and other institutions. This period is often called the Red Scare.
And I'm Amy. McCarthy's actions had a huge impact on American politics and society. Let's dive in and see what we can learn from it.
Before we get into McCarthy's story, let's talk a bit about communism. Communism is a political and economic system where the government owns all property and controls all resources and industries. The idea is that everyone shares everything equally, but in practice, it often leads to a lot of government control.
So, communism is different from capitalism, where people can own their own property and businesses, right?
Exactly, Andrew. In the United States, capitalism is the main system, and people value individual freedom and private property. During the 1950s, many Americans were very worried about the spread of communism, especially because of the Cold War with the Soviet Union, a communist country.
This fear of communism spreading to the United States is what led to the Red Scare, where people were very suspicious of anyone who might be a communist. Now, let's talk about Joe McCarthy.
Joe McCarthy was born in 1908 in Wisconsin. He became a U.S. Senator in 1947. At first, he was not really well known, but he changed in 1950.
That year, McCarthy gave a speech where he claimed to have a list of communists working in the U.S. State Department. This speech gained him a lot of attention and marked the start of his anti-communist crusade.
McCarthy began to investigate and accused many people of being communists. He held hearings and made many accusations without much evidence. This created a lot of fear and suspicion.
People were very scared of communism at the time, so McCarthy's accusations had a huge impact. Many people's lives were ruined because of his claims.
That sounds really unfair. How did it all end?
McCarthy's downfall began in 1954 when he started accusing members of the U.S. Army of being communists. This led to the Army-McCarthy hearings, which were televised. People saw how McCarthy conducted his investigations and started to turn against him.
The hearings showed that McCarthy's tactics were unfair and abusive. In December 1954, the Senate voted to censure him, which means they officially disapproved of his actions. His influence faded after that.
So McCarthy's story teaches us about the dangers of making accusations without evidence and the importance of fairness and justice.
And it shows how important it is to stand up against fear and suspicion when they are used to harm others.
Exactly. McCarthyism, as it came to be known, is a reminder of the impact of fear and suspicion on society. It's important to remember this history so we can learn from it and avoid making the same mistakes.
McCarthy's actions also led to changes in how investigations are conducted. Laws and regulations were put in place to ensure that accusations must be supported by solid evidence.
It is interesting how one person's actions can lead to changes in government and society. McCarthy's story is a powerful example of this, actually.
And his story shows us that we need to be careful about believing everything we hear, especially if it's based on fear or rumors.
McCarthy's era reminds us that the rights and freedoms of individuals must be protected, even when we're dealing with national security concerns.
It's also a lesson on the importance of standing up against unjust practices and ensuring that everyone is treated fairly and with respect.
Learning about McCarthyism helps us understand the balance between security and freedom, and why it's important to protect both.
And not to abuse it for personal gain or to create fear.
Exactly, Caroline. History has many lessons for us, and McCarthy's story is an important one about the dangers of unchecked power and the importance of justice and fairness.
One interesting anecdote about McCarthy is that he often claimed to have a list of communists in his pocket, but he never actually showed the list to anyone. That was one of his tactics to create fear and suspicion without providing real evidence.
Another interesting fact is that McCarthy was initially supported by many people, including other politicians and the media. But as his tactics became more extreme, he lost support.
And did you know that McCarthy's investigations even reached Hollywood? Many actors, directors, and writers were blacklisted, which means they were banned from working in the industry because they were accused of being communists. McCarthy's actions had a wide-ranging impact on American society. The fear and suspicion he created affect many people's lives and careers.
It's important to remember these stories and learn from them. We must ensure that our actions and decisions are fair and just, and that we protect the rights and freedoms of all individuals.
Remember, history isn't just about learning facts. It's about understanding the stories of people and their choices, thinking about what we can learn from them. Our promise to you is to help you learn and think along the way.
And now it's time for a joke. Ready? What do you call a bear with no teeth?
I don't know what.
A yummy gummy bear.
That's a great one, Caroline.
Thanks for joining us on this journey through history. We hope you found it as enlightening as we did. Until next time, keep learning and exploring.